Empire.
Welcome to the latest edition of All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino, and we are joined by Capitals Radio Network's Ben Raby. Hi, Raby.
First time, long time, fellas. Good to be with you.
Good to talk to you.
Good to be here. No, appreciate the invite, and good job by you guys. Pod's been going well. Have been a loyal listener. We look forward to questions later on, Karl. But it's a good product, so good to be here.
Oh, thanks, man. It's great. It's good having you on there. I love getting a chance to be in the driver's seat of asking some questions now. It's been a while, so it's nice that I get to mess with you guys just a little bit.
And hard hitting.
And Raby's been good for those of you who don't know Ben. A great human being, and actually has been giving feedback to me for this podcast because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But Ben obviously does know what he's doing in this setup. Gentlemen, Capitals beat the Jets. Fall behind 2-0, 2:20 in, storm back, give up a late goal, finally win in overtime. Karl, your impressions on that win and just kind of stopping the bleeding a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? So I caught the whole first period, and then after that I was kind of in and out. So I didn't get to see the
opposite of the Capitals, basically.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I after watching that first period, I mean, it could have easily been, 4-1. It could have been 4-2, I guess. I mean, it just there could have been way more goals scored than there was, and it just looked like I've seen a couple games now. I watched the Bruins game, watched the Canucks game, and then the first period of that last game, and to me it almost seems like there's a little bit of at times disinterest. I mean, I don't know what you guys see. It just seems like there's not a whole lot of life going on right now, and it took until, I guess Ovi thought that he there should have been a penalty call on that one play, and then he got a little fired up after that. I did get to see that part, and that's all it takes sometimes. You're just a little bit of a switch, and then we all know he's the engine. If he's fired up and he's going, we've all seen what he can do. So to me, that's kind of what it seemed like happened. And then after that, like I said, I wasn't watching every second of it, so I don't know the details. But from your guys' point of view, I'd love to hear what you saw in the second and the third.
Yeah, Raby. That's because we did see Alex Ovechkin get very, very angry on the bench.
Between Ovechkin and Wilson, I mean, they came to play last night. I thought they were both engaged really from the get-go, and ultimately good on Willie to be rewarded with the overtime winner set up by Kuzi there. But a couple of takeaways. I thought certainly as the game went along, I credit Vitek Vanacek keeping them in the game. He came up with big saves when you were still watching, Karl, in the first period, a breakaway stop on Andrew Kopp. You're down 3-0. Suddenly the game is probably a little further out of reach. And you know what as well, I thought got lost in the shuffle, fellas. 3 big penalty kills for the Capitals. In the second period particularly, game is tied 2-2. It's a pivotal moment in the game. You would appreciate this, Karl. You had the 4 penalty killers out there for the full 2 minutes. Nick Dowd, Kuznetsov, Jensen, TVR. They were gassed, and the Jets were real close from regaining the lead late in the second period. They didn't. Capitals were able to keep it a 2-2 game, ultimately took the lead in the third period, but thought the PK was big, thought Vanacek was good. But I'm curious from your perspective, Karl, you say they were, looked a little disinterested. They've acknowledged it's a mid-season lull. It's the dog days. Mm-hmm. They've got a lot of games in a short amount of time here. What is that like when you're in a little bit of a lull? You're not playing at your best. You recognize it in the grind of 82 games, and you've got to work your way out of it.
Hey, first of all, I'm the one that's supposed to be asking the questions now. No, but you know what? You're right. This is a tough time of the year. You got weather that's a little bit colder. You got snow days and stuff when I'm sure a lot of the older guys wish they were out there playing with the kids and enjoying what I'm getting to enjoy a lot of right now is seeing some of those family moments. But it's really difficult. And then you look too, like when Osh isn't in the lineup, it completely changes the dynamic of that team, not only on the ice, but guaranteed off the ice. Like he's the buzz in that dressing room before games and warm up and all that. One of the guys that gets everybody fired up to play. So when he's not there, it for sure changes it. And then, yeah, they got, they're expecting a lot of those guys to have a nice big Olympic break, and now that may not happen. We don't know, and it's just a lot of things probably messing with their heads, and and then obviously they got to go and perform and play hockey games. So it's a tough time of the year, and we're seeing it. But if you can find a way to still squeak out victories and get some points when you're not feeling good, then I think you're looking pretty good. But that was it's hard to not see teams get too fired up at the start of the game.
And to me, also, not only just TJ Oshie out, but to me, the last couple of games have shown how valuable John Carlson is to this team, because everything on defense, right, Raby, like it just mixes better when John Carlson's in there and everything else is off.
Yeah, it has a trickle-down effect, certainly, when you consider that top pair role and the big minutes that he eats and all the responsibilities he handles. But certainly, I would say last night there was a little bit of a trickle-down effect. I thought the pair generally of Jensen and Orlov were very good last night, first few minutes notwithstanding. But, no question. There was a trickle-down effect. I think you look at the lower down the depth chart last night, certainly became apparent. But you wonder, too, when he might be able to return. And we wonder as well what the status of Dmitry Orlov might be coming up here as the Capitals look to continue on in Boston here.
Did you see this hit, Karl? The knee on knee?
Yeah, I saw it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in full speed yet. I've only seen it in super slow-mo, and obviously you can see everything that happens there. Kneeing penalties are hard for me. Like, you know what it's like when you get going with momentum and you have a thought in your head. It's hard to just completely stop yourself, especially when you got speed going like that. You're committing to a hit. You don't want to let a guy jump past you, and it would be everybody's instinct to just move slightly, and you might not think that you're moving your leg that much. It might only feel like you're moving it an inch, and then you see it in slow-mo, and it's like, oh, I've actually moved it 4 or 5 inches, just enough to clip somebody. And it's a really, really hard play. You get caught up in that situation so many times. I remember clearly one time I tried to get in the way of Brad Marchand as he cutting across the ice, and I went for just like a little shoulder, and the next thing you know, when you watch it on video, no, I was like full elbow, trying to, like, it looked like I was going for his head. You just can't stop yourself. You're just trying to get a piece, and he's down low too. So it's like he knows that he can't allow a guy to get past him there, because it's going to be bad, an odd man situation right towards the front of the net. So I unfortunately, he might get dinged a little bit for this, but in my opinion, it's just a really, really hard play to get out of once you're in it.
After this conversation, I think he should have you in the room as his lawyer, because if he explains it in the hearing the way you explained it, he might get a lesser suspension out of it.
Well, the guys making those decisions too, they know exactly what that feeling is. Yeah, I think that is it an in-person hearing? Is that
no? It's a phone hearing.
Okay, so in that case, it could be one of those things where it's like, hey, look, we know what was going on. We need to show that we're at least looking into it. And maybe,
I think it's a game or two. I think it's a game or two, and it's one of those where even if the intent wasn't there, it's something you can't do. Ehlers is hurt and might be hurt for a long time, so I can see both sides of this one, but still see Orlov getting suspended.
I didn't see that. I didn't see the update on Ehlers.
Dave Lowry said he's going to miss at least the next game in Nashville, and they're calling him out indefinitely. So indefinitely means indefinitely.
Yeah, that sucks. And then going back to, like, if Orly's out, and depending on when Carly can come back, I don't know how these the numbers work, the underlying numbers and the advanced stats work. But to me, it seems like when I watch and Carly's in the lineup, like, there's so much more puck possession. There's so many. Oh, yeah. The breakouts are so much better. The power play has another dimension to it. So you take Orly out of there potentially, and then not having Carly, like, that's a major blow. Then I'm tying my skates back up and I'm getting out there. Like, we're getting in one. And so I just want to go back to that though, and just say how important Carly is to that team with the way he's been able to move the puck and get it to guys in speed and good transitions and all that. So could be in a situation here.
Yeah, and it'll be the Matt Irwin experience and Dennis Cholowski getting some more minutes. And if you'd like to sign a PTO, obviously you have Brian McClellan's number if you need that, if you'd like that for the rest of the week.
Sure, I'm in. Actually, no, I got a busy week this week. I don't think I can do it.
Yeah, you're needed this week. You're not needed beyond that.
10-day contract.
That'd be amazing.
We'll take a break here on Oz Caps. We're going to come back and talk some more Capital stuff, Vitek Vanacek and the goalie situation. We're also going to dive into the weird situation in Edmonton with Jim Matheson and Leon Draisaitl, because I don't know. Karl and I agree on a lot of things. I'm not sure we're going to agree on this one. So I think you should stay tuned and see where this one ends up. We'll be right back. Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman and maybe future Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino, joined by Ben Raby from the Capitals Radio Network, WTOP, Sirius XM, all the 7,000 jobs you have, Ben. First of all, before we get into Capital stuff, how do you juggle all this and being a husband and a father of 2 kids?
We're every 2 weeks. We wait for the schedules to come out. That's pretty much it. Good luck trying to plan something a month in advance. The wife loves that. No, it's the folks we work for recognize that there are other commitments. They are familiar with the Capitals' responsibilities. At least that schedule is, for the most part, solid and in place. But we very much enjoy working with different outlets and taking advantage of the opportunities. Yes, sir.
Now, as Karl is getting into his multitasking kind of world now and meetings and this and that, I'm sure you have some advice for him.
Enjoy it, man. I enjoy it. I like the variety. I like getting to work with different people. I like on one day, maybe I'm talking about, the Capitals depth chart, and then the next day I'm at Sirius XM and, we're talking NFL playoffs and high stakes Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady debates. So no, I like the variety, and keeps us on our toes in the hockey offseason as well. So I like the variety, and you get to work with different people, different backgrounds.
Okay, so speaking of NFL, really quick here, because I'm into it. Give me your pick. Who do you got? Well, I'm in a. I don't know if you've done a pool like this before, but you have you wager every week a certain amount of points on a team to win. You have to put at least 1 point on each game, and then you wager a certain amount. I would wager. Last week, I put the majority of my points on the Chiefs, and then I put 1 point on every other game. So who do you like? Who should I be paying close attention to in this week's bets?
Well, in the non-objective category, Karl, you're speaking to a cheesehead here. So put all your chips on the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau Field. Very much in favor of them moving on. And outside of that, like the home teams, like Tennessee, that's boring. That's like going with chalk here, right? Like Tennessee, like Tampa Bay. Can we go with the Bills? Is that an upset? I don't think that's an upset. The Bills over the Chiefs. That'll be a great game. Sunday night. Can't wait for that. So we've got Titans. We've got Bucks. We've got Packers in a landslide. And we've got the Bills.
Okay, good to know. I don't care if it's a chalk. I don't care if it's not fun. I'm in it to win it here. So I just want your winners.
Look, I thought I was smart in putting 21 confidence points on the Chiefs in this pool and then 5 on the Bills, and I sprinkled everything else around. I just got every other pick wrong. I got the Bills right, got the Chiefs right. So you're tied for 17th, and I'm tied for 34th down with Shea Weber.
Well, yeah, I'm so happy that you're in the pool too.
Did you pick the Eagles? What do you mean you got every pick wrong?
I did take the Eagles because there was 1 confidence point, and now the problem is everyone has 30 and I have 28, so I'm down the track here.
Is this with a spread, or is this
money?
This
is straight up.
And you picked the Eagles.
I did think the Eagles were going to win that game if they could run the ball worth a damn.
You deserve to lose.
I mean, probably. Honestly. And I had the Cowboys, and I lost that one, obviously. Yeah. That wasn't smart. I put a bunch on the Chiefs, a bunch on the Bills. Felt really good about those, and then lost everything else.
I was so selfish watching the Cowboys 49ers game last weekend, which was a great game. I wanted Dallas to win as a Packers fan because I knew if the 49ers won the game, the Packers 49ers game would be Saturday night, opposite the Capital Senators game, which we have a work obligation to be attending and working and covering. Sunday is a day off. Why couldn't the Cowboys win? Packers would have played on Sunday. It would have been glorious.
Are you going to do the so Karl? What Raby does is every once in a while he will DVR a game and not want anyone to tell him what's happening. So he doesn't check Twitter, anything. So it'll be a big Duke game or whatever game, and he just will literally watch it 3 or 6 hours later, having no idea what happened. Are you doing that again?
The plan is to DVR Saturday night's Packers game. It starts at 8:15. Our game begins at 7. Ideally, I could avoid it for 2 hours. The question is, will John Walton and my cohorts who I work with, friends, will they, support me in this endeavor, or right before they leave the booth, will they slip me a little note and spoil the experience?
I mean, they probably will mess with you. Let's be real. A quick Capitals thing is Vitek Vanacek in the goalie situation, and Karl and I, we've been screaming about the goalies for a few months now, even though we're not goalie experts. Vitek Vanacek did play well in that Jets game, but I still keep thinking something needs to give here, and I don't know how much trust the coaching staff has in Ilya Samsonov. The team needs to get a goalie sooner than later, right? Or are you riding Vitek Vanacek?
That's for you, Ben. Well, I've already shown my I've already said what I think needs to happen. I want to know what happened, Ben.
I think there would be an appetite to get improvement there. I think the goaltending's been good. I think for a team with aspirations like this, and I know you guys have alluded to the window over the past few weeks for this team and this core, I think there's you have to have great goaltending, right, fellas? You need it to be great if you want to make a deep postseason run, and we haven't seen great from what's in place now. Could it be great? Sure, it could be great, but the track record and as the sample size grows here, it hasn't been great consistently enough. And surely between now and March 21, the trade deadline, all options will be explored. We know that Brian McClellan isn't shy from making big deals, come deadline time, or to at least look into it. I'm sure all options are being considered, but for a team with a lot of other great parts, the most important position, it needs to be better. It needs to be consistently better.
Sure. So Alex Ovechkin scores his 27th goal against the Jets, takes over the league lead. The man he broke a tie with, Leon Draisaitl, was in the news yesterday for the wrong reasons. Here's what happened between Leon Draisaitl and Hall of Fame hockey writer Jim Matheson in Edmonton on Tuesday.
What do you think is the number one reason for the losses now? Is there one thing that you're in your own mind you're saying we got to get better at that?
Yeah, we have to get better at everything.
Would you like to expand on that?
No. You can do that. You know everything.
Why are you so pissy, Leon? Why are you so pissy?
I'm not. I'm just answering your question.
Yeah, you are. Whenever I ask you a question.
I gave you an answer.
Not a very good one.
Okay.
Karl also has been our Good Guy Award winner in the Washington media. He would never do this, but I'm curious your thoughts on this interaction between Jim Matheson and Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure I've never, given an answer where it was just like a one-word answer,
You've never given a one-word answer. I'm confident in that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not something that's in me to do. Like if I'm asked a question, I want to give an answer. So in my opinion, I feel like Leon could have, he could have expanded a little bit more, like the media has a job to do, part of Leon's job is to entertain those questions and give an answer. That being said, clearly there's some history there. What he says there, why don't you answer that question? You have all the answers. So, there's some sort of history going on there, and finally there was a breaking point, and that's what happened. But Ben, you brought up a good point earlier about the relationships, and I'd love for you to kind of explain that, because I always thought both of you guys were great at just coming up and just chatting, and developing more of a relationship. And there's been, there's only been a few guys a few people, I guess, that I've come in contact with that have been good at fostering those relationships. So, I'd love for you to just expand on your process behind getting to know the players and the coaches.
Well, it's unfortunate because we're coming up on 2 years since everything changed, right? And locker room access was limited. And for fans, for listeners who maybe aren't fully familiar, going back pre-COVID days, the locker room, the dressing room would be open a few minutes after practice, and media comes in and you get your interviews, you ask your questions related to the games. And yeah, as Karl said, you foster relationships. You talk like humans, you talk like people, as opposed to now the distance, the Zoom, even the podium nature. If it's quote unquote in person, it's still at a podium, it's still from a physical distance. And there isn't time to, schmooze, for lack of a better word, to just say, hello, how are you? How's the family? How's this? I noticed this, new equipment, whatever it is, right. Just to talk like people, a conversation. And that's how you build better relationships. And now the distance between media and athletes, and I'm sure it translates to other fields as well, there's a distance, and it almost becomes, in some instances, adversarial. And it's very, very unfortunate. And I hope that one day it can be returned to what it once was, years ago.
I actually think, and I wonder, Karl, if guys who you talk to who are still in the league agree with this. I almost think a lot of guys, not everyone, misses it because it does feel like more of a you're in it together than a you're dragged out somewhere and talking. Because when you're in a locker room together and able to chat, it feels like you're kind of all in the same job, even though we're on another side. To me, it feels like it's personal. It's not something where you're pulled out and you're sitting in front of a microphone and then there's this very static relationship to it.
Well, yeah, and a conversation that goes, it starts out by one of you guys just saying, "Hey, I'm just going to ask you about the game last night and whatever. I got just a couple things that I'm doing a story for," and versus just coming straight in and asking a question. It's like, let's just have a quick briefing of what I'm going to ask you and I could tell by your body language maybe that. I know that you need to do this for a deadline or whatever. So that right there is like, I can clue in again, you have a job to do. You're just trying to get your job done. Then we finish the interview and then it's like, oh man, I'm so tired from last night. Like, that was a long game. Went to, whatever, went out to Bugsy's, had a couple beers and stuff. Like just that right there, that's how we can connect on a different level. And when you don't get to do that, then it's like it's almost like it's like an interaction with a police officer. Like they come to your window and you're just like, here's my answers, and then they disappear, and not knowing that police officer might be a great person that you could hang out with and have a good conversation. And when you don't get to do that, then everybody's at an arm's length, and then you give just weigh your answers and like you said, the relationships that are supposed to be fostered aren't there, and then the content doesn't always become that good. But what I love, and I was looking at some of the comments on that thing with Draisaitl and Matheson, just like someone said, you can clearly tell Matheson's been married, but after calling Leon Pissy. It's just so good. And then hearing some of the other people in the media world, like some coming to his defense, some coming to Leon's defense, it's a weird situation, and which kind of leads me to asking, well, I guess both of you guys would be great since you've both been in this for a while. You ever have a situation like that happen that hasn't maybe been aired, but you've got into it with some people?
Raby?
It ends up being a funny story, but I'll tell you real quick. This was Bruce Boudreau. Okay, so this goes back 2010, 2011. He wasn't happy with something I had put out on the Twitter machine. And I don't know, Twitter 2010, 2011 was fairly new, I guess. I don't know. Things weren't going viral. I don't know. He had said something off mic. Okay, he had finished his podium business and he had said something off mic. You may remember, Karl, he's a big Notre Dame football fan, Bruce is. And Notre Dame was having a rough year. And he said, we're so bad, I don't even think we could beat Potomac High School this year. And we laughed. It was funny. But it was an off the cuff, off to the side, not on the record quote that I then went ahead and may have shared on social media. Next day we get back, and before he speaks to us, I get tapped on the shoulder by one of the media relations folks at the time, Kelly Murray. Remember Kelly Murray? She taps me on the shoulder. She says, Bruce wants to see you in his office. And Wino, you may have been there. Others were there.
I actually got you in trouble with this because they saw it from me retweeting you.
They thought it was you.
They thought it was me.
I get the tap on the shoulder, and you knuckleheads, it's like getting sent to the principal's office. You're all, ooh. So I go into his office, but I don't know what it's about.
Maybe you're thinking you're getting exclusive right now.
Maybe he liked an article I had done the day before. I genuinely, this was not something I was thinking of. So I go into his office and he tells me, sit down. And I'm looking around the office. First time I'm in there, framed pictures, very nice. I sit down and he says, how you doing? I said, I'm good. How are you? I really don't know where this is going. He said, I saw what you posted yesterday about my comment about Notre Dame football. I said, yeah, that got a lot of play. I think a lot of people got a good laugh out of that. And then he turns all 24/7 on me. What the bleep are you doing? You can't bleep and put that bleep out there. You make me look bad. Here's the thing. Notre Dame football is calling Ted Leonsis. Notre Dame athletics is calling the Capitals. They're asking, who's Bruce Boudreau? Why is he saying this about our team? Let him worry about his. I feel awful now. I feel really bad. I genuinely feel bad. And he says to me, you want me to be robotic? You want me to not talk? Just give you hockey cliches? We could do that. So anyways, I feel terrible. I rush home, get on the laptop. I start looking up all the phone numbers, Notre Dame Athletics, Notre Dame SIDs, media relations. I call them all up. I say, this is Ben Raby, Washington, D.C., et cetera, et cetera. Just wanted to apologize. There was a tweet about Bruce Boudreau, Capitals head coach, first person. I don't know what you're talking about. No idea. I call somebody else. Excuse me, are you aware of this tweet? No idea. Hey, you guys know about this? No, anything with the Washington Capitals? Bruce set me up, fellas. I appreciate what I did. I called Notre Dame. They had no idea. They had no idea about any of this. And he says they were busy calling the team because of something I put out because of a comment he made. So he wasn't too pleased, never revisited that, but the lesson was learned the harsh way, I guess you could say.
That's incredible. I mean, look, I've had a few of these over the years. The one that is most recent is I wrote a big story about Tom Wilson in the spring of 2019, and it was after the Sundqvist suspension, and so he's had a few suspensions at that point. They've already won the Stanley Cup. He's got the contract, and I thought it was a pretty good story. Talked to Tom about it, talked to some of the Blues guys, including Zach Sanford, and did kind of what was titled Most Hated Man in Hockey, Tom Wilson. But it was a very sympathetic kind of what he deals with in social media and all of that stuff. And Sergey from Capitals PR says the next day, like, Tom's pretty pissed. Oh, okay, whatever. We're done talking in the locker room. Before Tom leaves, I'm like, hey, do you have a second? And so I was like, it's a story I wrote. And he's like, yeah, this is what my parents said, or this is what I feel. And we just had a conversation privately in the corner of the locker room, and we're good. I mean, like, from that point on, and Tom, for everything that the players on the ice are like, oh, he's this and that, he is one of the best people to deal with in the locker room. And to have that situation where it's like, okay, I did something that pissed you off, and I think I'm okay with it, but to be able to have a human conversation with it, smooth the situation out without it being on Zoom and viral to the whole world of kind of, oh, Wino and Wilson got into it. No, we had an adult conversation, and then it's over. And see, that to me, that's where you lose the relationships of Zoom and this podium stuff, when everything is blasted out on social media and you don't have that opportunity to just quietly go talk to someone.
Yeah, there was another player. I don't want to reveal his name. You can if you want to, Wino. Do you remember? There was a player who was dealing with some injuries, 2013, 14-ish. He called us into the room. He wasn't pleased with some of what was being written and reported.
This is an entire episode. If you want to get into this one, this is an entire episode.
Whether that was justified or not, but I bring it up to suggest, okay, he wanted to talk as people and just say, acknowledge, I'm not happy. He didn't take it out in an article. He at least called us in privately and said, just be aware of what you're writing about me, kind of thing.
Do you remember this, Karl?
Who was it?
It was Brooks Like, and it
okay,
was.
I was going to say it must have been Brooks.
And it was after he had a surgery that was, I guess, misreported, and then he was upset at kind of how it came out, and then he said something on the Junkies about how we got the surgery wrong, and we kind of had some not bad interactions, but just during scrum interactions that were a little salty, which led to him to say no, we need to all talk about this. And he was, and at that point, it was a very kind of civil conversation. It's just one of those that could have very much boiled over if it were a Zoom or a podium situation in public about a situation like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because a lot of times not all the information has been given, and then
sure.
you guys go off of what you have and what you believe is correct, and it might be pretty darn close, but there might be one thing, and that one thing could just make that player's head just set off and be like,
oh,
no,
it did.
If only,
it did.
Yeah, exactly. If only they knew this, then they wouldn't write that. And, it turns into a big gross thing. And it happened to me actually right after me and Mandy got married. We had our wedding website, and it was obviously just for family. I didn't know,
right.
Offense, guys, but I didn't invite any of the media to my wedding because I wanted just my family, right?
No
and
offense
friends
taken.
and stuff. And I can't remember what the guy's name is now. Anyways, he posted it. He said, "Oh, this is Karl Alsner's wedding website," and so all of our personal photos and stuff like that were out there. And I'm just like, why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. I remember saying something there, and I think it got taken down. But it's just sometimes you need to know where to draw the line, right? And it's tough, especially when people would want views and want some action on it, and then knowing when it's this is separate from this, and being smart about that. And I think that's where it separates the good ones from the ones that aren't so good. So it is a bit of a weird balancing act, though.
And going back to the distance between the Zoom and the podiums and the inability to just, I think you said it in passing a few minutes ago, Karl, but just even if it's after a bad loss, you could just go up to the player and say, hey, no, I know it was a rough night, but can I just ask you one thing about this? You could almost preempt it with a little something to ease it. Whereas on the Zoom or podium, you can't. And Wino, you may be the same. I've always enjoyed, over the years, you take advantage. If it's a player you see on the regular, might be able to plant a seed. Hey, could I get you in a few days on this topic? As opposed to just throwing it at him on a Zoom without any lead up or preamble. Yeah,
and it's both. It's both being able to say, hey, can I get you in a couple of days? Like, I don't need you right now on this. I remember Steve Alexi and I, when he finally got his first NHL contract, and I'm like, look, I need you for like 20 minutes. Not right now, but you pick a day and we'll talk about it. Or even like visiting players come in who don't know me from Adam, and I could just quietly be like, hey, can I ask you about this? And then if they don't want to talk about it, it doesn't become a big thing. It's just, I don't want to talk about that. And some guys are great, and and it just allows you to have, just like any workplace, right? Like, you want to be able to have a private conversation where the whole world's not watching what you're asking and answering.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny? We've talked about this, Wino, is there's one member of the media that we discussed that we would not be having them on the show, and
we're not going to go names there.
We're not going to do any names there, but it was this guy. He, throughout the whole season, we'd talk, you'd have fine conversations, no issues there, and then I find out like towards 3/4 of the way through the season through my aunt, who told my mom, who told me, because I wasn't paying attention to anything that was going on, that this guy had been like, pretty harsh in a lot of the articles. And I'm like, really? I'm trying to think, like, who would it have been? Like, I've got good relationships with everybody in the media here, and then end of the season happens, whatever, and the guy comes up to me and says, hey, I just want to let you know I was pretty tough on you in the media this year, and I'm really pulling for you next year. And I'm just like, what do you mean you were really tough on me? Like, why didn't you ever have this conversation with me that you've been like, you've been on me, or like, what is it that you want to know? Like, let me have an opportunity to talk it out with you. And then, how sometimes in certain cities, Ben, as you would know, this city, it can sometimes spiral out of control pretty fast, and it can really, really turn things for a player, and which is exactly what ended up happening to me. So I just think that it's
in two languages.
Unfortunate.
In two languages sometimes.
In two languages, yeah. So I don't even have an opportunity to know what's being said about me. My translation isn't that good. So it's just, it can be frustrating too. Like, I don't think anyone needs to bury anybody. But I think we all need to understand that we all have a job to do. And, just like I might be able to go out and say on Twitter, like, I think Wino is a terrible writer. He doesn't know anything about this, nothing about that. And if I did that once a week for, 3 months straight, eventually that might catch on.
Sure.
Whereas, it works the exact same way with a member of the media and a player. I think Tom is a goon. He can't focus, blah, blah, blah. Next week, same thing. Then everybody who's following you would see that, right? So I think what needs to always be remembered is everybody's trying to make a living. This is what we do, and we don't need to put anybody out. As much as you might not like somebody, or don't respect the way they play, don't respect the way they write, we're providing for somebody, and let's not try and ruin it for anybody here.
And to me, it's about respect, and that was the thing probably lacking from that Draisaitl-Matheson exchange, in my opinion. Is I think Jim Matheson deserved more respect from Leon Draisaitl in that situation. But we're gonna take a break here on All's Caps and come back, and Ben Raby gets to be Karl's latest victim on Karl's Stupid Questions. Welcome back to All's Caps with former Capitals defenseman Karl Alzner and Capitals Radio Network's Ben Raby. I'm AP hockey writer Steve Wino. And now it's time for the favorite portion of the show, which is Karl's Stupid Questions.
All right, Ben, since you're a loyal listener, you understand how this works. But just in case we have anyone new, we got 6 questions for you, ranging from ones that make sense to ones that don't make sense. And I have a formula in my head that I will use to add up your points at the end so we know exactly where you are. And good luck to you.
Yeah, we don't need to be number one. We just need to be ahead of Jay Walton, okay? Let's make that happen. Let's work together, have broadcast booth bragging rights.
Well, he had 106 points. He's tied for third. He's on the podium right now. So
let's knock him off.
Let's knock him off. All right. Okay, first question here is, I know that we all use spell check now, but do you have a word that you always misspell? Like I, in my text to you guys, trying to spell Draisaitl, not a chance. It wasn't anywhere near. But do you have a word that you would always misspell?
Yeah, Chalowski's a new one, but let's go with anniversary, which really shouldn't be. Anniversary is not that big of a word, right? But 2 N's and R's in there. Let's go anniversary, which is great when we have to write out cards.
And it always comes out as what, anniversary?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. This one, some of the guys I was talking to yesterday said I need to ask this question more often. What in your opinion is the ugliest vegetable?
Ugliest vegetable. Is eggplant a vegetable? Eggplant's a vegetable. Eggplant's a vegetable. Let's go eggplant.
Eggplant, yes. Okay, that's a good.
It's not
choice.
your everyday fare. It's an exotic vegetable.
All right. Okay, so nice night out with everybody. You're having a good time, couple beers, and all of a sudden the karaoke machine comes out. What song is Ben Raby singing?
Rick Ansley, can't go wrong with that. And a little Bohemian Rhapsody. I feel like this isn't overly original. Bohemian Rhapsody's a good one, right?
That's a great one.
Yeah.
You're going to be up there for a while singing that song.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Holy.
6 minutes plus.
You're paying by the hour. That's on you.
Yeah.
Got some lung strength right there. Okay, so we kind of talked about issues sometimes we have with talking to people and interviews and all that stuff. Do you have a favorite person that you like to interview?
Favorite person outside of the Karl Alsner category. Wait, we talking Capitals alums. We're keeping it in the family here. You know who I like talking to, but I feel like not too many others did for some reason. I developed a good one with Daniel Winnick. Okay, in it to Winnick. All right, Wikipedia.
Yes.
We were good with him. And the other one, John used to make fun of me for this one. We felt we cornered the Alex Chason market. I don't know. There was some Quebec bond there, but I liked Winnick for the go-tos. I thought he was to the point. He was frank. He was honest, and we were good with him.
I love that you threw out his nickname there, Wikipedia. It's like one of the most perfect nicknames ever. He was like, he was so fast on Google. If anything was happening, like we'd get on the bus from getting off the plane, trying to figure out how long it's going to take us to get to whatever it was to Manhattan, to the hotel. And someone had just asked the question, and half a second later, when he's like, well, according to Waze, it's going to take us 26 minutes, 30 seconds. If we don't go this way, he had this answer for everything. And it was like, it's one of those things where it's like, kind of bugs you, but also kind of lovable too. Like, you know, like when he's always going to have our back, he's going to find an answer for us. And so
knows everything. Let me tell you real quick. A few years ago, we did a bit. You were a part of this bit. We did a bit around a U.S. election. I went around the room. So you can't do this on Zoom. I went around the room and I asked you guys the hard-hitting question: which teammate would make the best politician? And Justin Williams, without missing a beat. All you guys gave it some thought. Justin Williams did not miss a beat. I teed him up. I said, which teammate would make the best politician and why? He says, Daniel Winnick, because he knows everything and he's never wrong. And he burst out. It was a drop the mic and he left. I said, I love it. Very good.
That's not your best drop the mic moment, though. You know what I'm talking about. The I don't watch hockey.
Oh, I don't watch hockey. Yeah. Share that one?
Oh, yeah. This is, I forget it, like the Flyers and Penguins were playing a series or something had happened elsewhere around
rivalry night.
The night you love to hate. Right. And it was, I think Ben and I were the only people left in the locker room, and he asks Wojtek Wolski about something, and Wojtek just says...
I'm on assignment from NHL.com. I did not come up with this question, Karl. NHL.com was getting voices from around the league. Who's going to be tuned in to Sidney Crosby and the Penguins against the Flyers? Wojtek Wolski is standing there. I go up to him and I said, listen, I've got this bit from NHL.com. They want to know about Penguins Flyers. If you're going to be tuned in. And what did he say, Wino? It was the way he said it.
He just said, I don't watch hockey, and just left the room. Just drop the mic. I don't watch hockey. And then I don't think, did he ever score a goal after that in the NHL?
Well, I know he has 99 career goals. Shouldn't take shots at the fella. That's 99.
No, but
combined.
Sure.
He has 99.
He's on 99. And to be fair, I actually covered Wojtek at the 2018 Olympics without NHL players, and it was after his neck injury and all that, and we had a terrific conversation. So whatever had happened, I'm a big fan of Wojtek Wolski, and I love this story.
And Troy Brouwer saved the peace. Should mention that.
Of course he did.
He saw what happened, and he just called me over. He said, "Here, what do you need?"
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said, "What do you want? Penguins, Flyers?" And I used to play in the Blues and Blackhawks, and you get up for those games, and it's perfect.
Oh man, so maybe Wolski was having a tough day, and it was just bad timing. Needed to walk away from that one, but you'd be surprised. I mean, that's probably also a fairly honest answer. How many guys don't watch any hockey?
TJ Oshie, same way. TJ Oshie does not, like, every time you try to ask guys, he's like, guys, I don't watch. I'm like, that's fine. This is your job. It's okay. You don't have to. And there are guys who watch everything. I was talking to John Davidson from the Blue Jackets. He's like, man, I watch hockey all day and all night. So I'll be watching every single game you can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more along the lines of TJ. Like, I never watched a single thing unless I, there was something that I needed to see,
That surprised me. Even before kids?
Even before kids, we would never turn the TV on for hockey. I was like completely check out. The only hockey I would get would be the next morning. We'd have like the NHL Network on, or TSN or whatever it was, would have like the highlights run over and over and over. And then I'd watch the highlights 5 times. So then I knew everything that was going on, but we would never throw a game on. I remember I went to Brooks Lake, had me over for dinner one of my first couple of years there, and first thing he did, flick on NHL Network or whatever it was, and he had the game on, and then the next game on, and I'm like, do you normally watch a lot of hockey? And he's like, I watch every game. Like, I know everything that's going on. I'm like, oh, buddy, like I need to decompress.
You can get burnt out.
I get burnt out, exactly. But some people like it. I watch way more now than I ever watched playing, because I kind of need to know what's going on a little bit more. So I get that, but maybe just tough timing with Wolski there.
Great story though.
I'm always curious. I don't mean to throw the question at you here, but real quick, I'm always curious with players, current and former. When you watch though, like when Wino and I when we watch, news reports, I feel like I watch them differently. I watch how they're presented. I'm watching more than just the story, if you follow. If I watch SportsCenter, I'm curious how the stories are presented, what order, why was it done this way, nerdy intricacy journalism stuff. When you watch hockey, like what do you look for? What do you watch for as a hockey player or former?
Well, it depends. If I'm watching on TV, I'm watching kind of like I'm just watching the game, like kind of what's happening. I'm seeing who seems to have the momentum, where the energy is, and stuff like that. If I'm watching in person, where I can focus on, not just the camera angle, I can see what's going on, I'll watch a certain player, or I'll watch like, what's going on all the time on the forecheck. I'll always want to see where all the other guys are. Like, I'll think as a defenseman, I'm like, okay, where's that puck going to go? Like, where's the best out right here? Someone's just dumped the puck in. Other team is forechecking, 2-1-2 or whatever. I'm thinking, okay, where's my out? If I was out there, what am I doing right now? How do we break this? So there would be a couple times where I would watch. Actually, I remember this. This was when I was with Laval, and we were in Winnipeg. So we were playing the Moose the next day, and I remember. So I went there the day before with my agent. We watched Tampa play the Jets. And I remember seeing that. I'm watching their breakouts, and I'm watching their neutral zone. And I'm like, well, obviously, the Moose are probably playing the same way the Jets are. And Tampa's breaking them every single time in the neutral zone, and this on their breakouts. And I'm like, good to know. So we go the next game, and sure enough, exact same forecheck, exact same neutral zone. And we broke them every single time. I think they ended up having I think Winnipeg had like 10 shots all game, because we just knew exactly. Like, I remember paying close attention, telling my other D-men, like, hey, they do this all day long. This is how we break it. And so that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a weakness when I can watch. And so I don't necessarily pick up on the full game, but I'm looking at like I'm creating a pre-scout for a team.
Looking for things you could exploit.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay. We got 2 more for you, and then I gotta run and pick up my kid from school.
And I gotta run and see what the hell's going on at Capitals practice. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Okay. This one here, and it's tough to go back and think, but what's the best thing you've ever eaten?
Best thing I've ever eaten.
Dish. I'll give you a second to think about it. I can remember right away. I had this. It was at Mini Bar in downtown in DC, and they had this donut. The outside was donut, but the inside was ice cream, and it was the best single bite that I've ever had in my life.
Oh my goodness, best thing we've ever eaten. Probably some sushi dish. I'm a huge sushi fan. You can't go wrong with sushi. Yeah. There's probably some exotic sushi dish I had, but oh my goodness, we're gonna lose creativity points here. But we're going sushi, and we're going some exotic sushi I must have eaten somewhere.
Exotic sushi. Okay, I'll remember that. Do you like sea urchin?
Is that a type of sushi?
It's one of the worst things I've ever eaten. It's like a type of fish that is on, what do they call it? Uni, maybe? I don't know. It's on sushi.
I'm not familiar. The less questions I ask when I eat sushi, the better, but I'll eat it.
But you enjoy it. Right.
Oh, love it. Yeah. That's a real treat. Yeah, love it.
All right, last one for you here. Let's think selfishly, okay? As selfish as possible. You have $1 million to burn. Just burn through this $1 million. What are the things you're doing with it?
I guess we're going down south where we're going to enjoy ourselves on a vacation. But I like memorabilia. I like things. I like things that could be. As you look at my bare walls on this video Zoom here, I like memorabilia. I like things that could be possessed.
So what do you want? Like you want Aaron Rodgers' helmet? Like what are we talking about here?
Yeah, like jerseys and things like that. But $1 million's a lot to burn through. But would go through some experiences, some travel, go south, maybe hit up some ballparks. Maybe include the family. You just said selfish, though.
You would go to Lambeau, and you'd go to Cameron Indoor, and we'd sit on the 5th row and watch it. Yeah, that even though that cost nothing, which was nice.
Those are priceless experiences.
Fair enough. Okay. All right, let me quickly add this up here. So
just give us 107, Karl, and we're good.
I mean, hey, if I just start giving away points, then the game loses integrity. This is all about integrity. I'm gonna do the sushi. I'm gonna have to dock a couple points for creativity. Name button is on. Anniversary. Okay. Going back to my scores here, you are sitting. I hate to say it, but you're gonna be sitting at 101 points.
South of.
Tied with Steve Alexi, though.
All right, that's good company.
Yes, you should be happy about that. Steve was a great guest.
Just have somebody next week knock off John from the podium. All right.
Well, if Jason Chimera might knock John Walton off the podium here.
Might become the new number 1.
Exactly. Well, thanks for participating in my my silly questions right there. Stupid questions.
Yes. And appreciate it, Karl.
Raby, thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, fellas. All's caps. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Everybody, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you with Jason Chimera next week on All's Caps.